You cannot be for real. Oh my god, you for real? No, you for fake. No.
Sakusa didn't care about his birthday all that much. He would even go as far as to say he just didn't like it. He always hated that people would try to give things he didn't want or need, things that held absolutely no value for him. He hated the cakes his mother would buy from the store, always too sweet and coating his mouth in thick frosting until he felt like he was going to throw up. He hated that people would stop him in the hallways to say happy birthday, Sakusa, as if they actually cared. For the past years, he's been successful in keeping his day of celebration from any of his classmates or teammates, and he intended to keep it that way. Sakusa was 18 now, a third year, and as such, he felt like he could give himself a little birthday present. He let himself sleep in an extra 10 minutes before getting up for his morning run. It seemed small, but it made a world of difference when he got out of bed and stretched. His mind wasn't so foggy with sleep and its muscles felt looser. Maybe he was waking up too early before instead of now letting himself sleep in. He got dressed, throwing on some loose shorts and a tank top to prepare for a morning run before the actual youth camp training begins. Atsumu would be stumbling out of bed now to get ready for the same run around the campus. Ever since Atsumu continuously annoyed him whenever they see each other at camp, Sakusa was willing to, grudgingly, let Atsumu join him for morning runs so long as he kept the chattering to a minimum. He knew cutting it out completely was entirely impossible, so he was willing to be lenient and just tune out the rest. Down in the common room of the building where they currently stayed, the lights were already on, not the overhead fluorescent lights, but the lamps next to the couches that illuminated just enough of the room for one to see where they were going. The kitchen light was on too, and someone was closing the fridge. "Hey," Sakusa called out the window into the kitchen. Showed Atsumu popping up into view, looking ragged and tired. His hair was more tousled than usual and there were dark circles under his half-lidded eyes. His face was pale, which made his seemingly dull eyes pop out more. All in all, the guy looked like a wreck. "What's with your face, Mia?" Ignoring the disgusted expression that was thrown at him, the fake blonde greeted him cheerfully, a deep contrast to what he looked like at the moment. "Omi. Good morning." Sakusa expected him to throw in a quick happy birthday, but he didn't. He was both relieved and frustrated. "What are you doing down here? Have you been in your bed at all? You look like shit." Atsumu snorted and ran a hand through his hair and rubbed it vigorously. That seemed to be the reason why his hair looked the way it did. "Gee, thanks, Omi," he said with a strong sarcastic lilt. Sakusa just rolled his eyes. "What are you doing down here, you lurker?" "I'm not a lurker." Coming out of the kitchen, he held a protein bar out for Sakusa to grab. He didn't take it, opting to just stare at Atsumi's mangled hand cradling the bar. It was covered in little red and white splotches that went all the way up to his elbow, where the distance became greater between each one, and he caught sight of the other hand. He saw that it was of similar caliber. What the hell was that? "Omi, are you going to take it or not? My arm's getting tired." They both knew that was a lie, or maybe it wasn't, but if taking it got Atsumu to quit whining, then fine. He snatched the food out of Atsumu's hand and he walked around him. The kitchen was dark now. What had he been doing in there? He couldn't have been grabbing his own breakfast. There was nothing else in his hand. What was he hiding? Knowing Mia Atsumu and his blabbermouth, he'll probably be telling what he's been up to right now without Sakusa asking. Sakusa had thought they were acquainted enough to not have to worry about these things. Maybe he had been wrong. "Are you coming?" Atsumu asked from the front door. His shoes were already on. The door was open. Sakusa's shoes were dangling from Atsumu's fingers. Sakusa frowned and took them off Atsumu's hold rather forcefully. "Don't just carelessly touch my things." Atsumu just hummed low in his throat and walked away. Sakusa almost tripped twice getting his shoes on fast enough to catch up. He's torn between his pride and his frustration. He wants to grab Atsumu by the collar and shake him until he confesses as to why he's being so damn weird. That would take admitting he was curious. Atsumu can't know he's curious, because then he'll never let Sakusa live it down, teasing him, and he'll ask why, and then what? What comes after that? Would Sakusa let the walls Atsumu's been battering at for years crack a little more? There's already a drawbridge for Atsumu to cross. It's been there since he didn't even realize when. The moment he put it down, Mia Atsumu marched in like a one. man army and destroyed everything Sakusa had built over the years. Gone were the tall spears and reinforced homes. Gone was the glorious castle in the middle of it all, and from the wreckage, Atsumu began to build something new. A new, modest village from straw and clay and wood, so easily breakable, but that much more precious because of it. It was so fragile, so easily breakable, Atsumu's name carved all over it. The worst part was that Atsumu didn't even know he built it. He had Sakusa's proud buildings crumbling before him, made something entirely new inside of him, and then went on his way without another thought. How was that fair? It's not. This is completely unfair. Huh? Yeah, said something, Omi? No. Atsumu was quiet all throughout their run. No chattering, no humming, just his quick, steady breathing and the sound of his shoes pounding against the ground. It was so strange. Atsumu didn't say a word. His mouth was a closed, soft line. They made it back to the building. Atsumu took off to the showers without a word, and Sakusa went back to his room to grab his uniform and bag. He wondered if Atsumu already had his clothes in the bathroom, and that's why he seemed so confident in his movements. It was so strange, so sudden, it threatened to give Sakusa whiplash. He's gotten better over the years, able to meet Sakusa's blunt language and dry humor with a sharp tongue of his own, but this felt different. Sakusa just didn't know how. After showering, he made his way back into the living room. It would still be a little bit longer until everyone else came down with their rumpled pajamas and bleary eyes. Atsumu was back in the kitchen, hunched over something with his back to Sakusa. What are you doing? You're acting weird. Atsumu whirled around, and the usual air of assertiveness and confidence he always had around him vanished in thin air as soon as he heard Sakusa's voice. Oh, Omi. Nothing, I was just trying out something that Samu suggested. Whatever, clean up after yourself, Mia. Sure thing. Sakusa narrowed his eyes, watching him skeptically before eventually just shrugging it off and leaving the kitchen. Atsumu didn't want to tell him what he was doing. Fine, Sakusa didn't care. What the fuck was happening? All day, Atsumu hasn't talked to him outside of training when they had grouped up together against other teams. The last time they were grouped up together, Atsumu was a complete motor mouth, talking about anything and everything that piqued his interest until Sakusa told him to shut up or else he would kick his shin. Today, Atsumu was all business, keeping any and all conversations away from anything that wasn't strategic. Sakusa can't lie to himself anymore. He expected Atsumu to wish him a happy birthday like he did every year as they walked back to the dorms. Once Atsumu learned of his birth date, every year, without fail, Atsumu wished him a happy birthday until now. It was a tradition that Sakusa disliked. He disliked it so much because he disliked Mia Atsumu, but now he didn't dislike Mia Atsumu, so what did that mean for the tradition that was now over? Dinner went on as usual. No one knew it was his birthday except for his cousin, who wished him as secretly as he could per Sakusa's instructions. No one suspected a thing. Atsumu was with the other players and Sakusa was stuck eating with his cousin. Atsumu was talking with literally anyone but him, still not acknowledging Sakusa beyond something casual. Sakusa decided that even if he didn't want the others to know he was 1 year older, it wasn't worth staying with everyone if Mia Atsumu wasn't going to wish him a happy birthday. Stuck in his room because he didn't have anything else to do, Sakusa just decided to go to bed early. He crawled under his warm blankets and in between the soft covers. What had he expected? Sure, Sakusa didn't push him away as much and he treated Mia Atsumu as sort of a friend that he tolerates, but it seemed like Atsumu decided that he didn't want to put up with his shit anymore. Mia Atsumu has been chasing after him this whole time. Not anymore, it seemed. Something knocking on his balcony door woke him up. Looking over at the alarm clock next to his bed, he saw that it was almost 11. There was a knock at his window again. It was a cautious, careful knock to not wake anyone else up. With a groan, he pulled back the covers and met the chill of the wooden floors behind his dark curtains. The moon lit up the shadow of a person walking over the wood floorboards, and flicking back the curtain, he met a pair of eerie, hooded brown eyes, the rest of his face shadowed out by the full moon. Open the door. Sakusa could see Atsumu mouth from behind the glass. Too stunned to do anything else, Sakusa complied, taking the door handle and pulling it back. What are you doing here? How the hell did you get here? Sakusa asked with wide eyes. Do you trust me, Omi? Atsumu held out his hand instead of answering. What's going on? Omi, just answer the question. With my life. Wow, that was more honest than he would have liked. Atsumu didn't look surprised, he just smiled and held out his hand further. There's something I want to show you up on the roof. Sakusa was still at a loss for words despite every instinct that told him to just go back inside and hide under the covers. Sakusa let the rush of sudden adrenaline make his heart stutter faster as he took Atsumu's hand. Using his other hand, and Sakusa was yanked closer to Atsumu's warm, firm torso. It reminded him of a scene from Spider-Man. That didn't make him MJ, did it? That would suck. Sakusa was lowered to the ground with so much care on Atsumu's part that it made his chest ache. On the roof was a blanket placed over the rough cement. What is this? Oh, you know, just a few days of planning and psyching myself up before I chicken out and do something I will regret for the rest of my life. That last part was said in a whisper, not meant for Sakusa to hear, but he heard it anyway. What? Yeah, I heard nothing. Atsumu sat down on the blanket and patted the spot next to him, gesturing for Sakusa to sit beside him with a soft smile. If they got caught up here, they would be so screwed. That was probably what made it so exciting. Atsumu was being the cliché guy that made bad ideas seem like good ones. What is this for? Sakusa asked, knees jutted out as he tucked his feet into his body until he was cross-legged. Well, I mean, you only turn 18 once. Sakusa head whipped from looking over the dorm building into the city lights to Atsumu as he reached next to him and pulled out a cupcake with a candle tucked neatly aside from seemingly nowhere. Sakusa watched, dumbfounded, as Atsumu pulled a lighter from his pocket and clicked it until a flame produced itself. The candle caught fire, a gentle flicker that lit up the soft angles and contours of Atsumu's cheeks, jawline, and nose. Happy birthday, Omi. It came out as a whisper. Even if it felt so loud he might as well have shouted it at him. It was what he's been wanting to hear all day. He wouldn't have cared when, but this, just the two of them with Mia Atsumu whispering it like the secret that it was. Fucking, you, when did you have time for this? Last night. Do you have any idea how hard it is to bake a cake without so much as a step-by-step tutorial ingrained into my mind, all the while keeping it a secret from everyone without it tasting like complete and utter shit? It took me all night. The process was a little easier once I talked to Samu on the phone. You annoyed the hell out of your brother again? I don't care, he does the same to me. Sakusa snorted and took the small cupcake from Atsumu's fingers. I made sense now. The splotches on his hands and arms must have been burns. The idea that Atsumu had stayed up all night, when the circles under his eyes were dark and he looked ready to collapse, made it hard to breathe. Is this why you've been acting weird all day? Sakusa asked. The candle was still burning, melted wax sliding down the surface. I was trying really hard not to give anything away. I wanted it to be a surprise. Moron. Sakusa told him, a smile was slowly stretching across his face. I literally have to beg on my knees to get to know your birthday since you are so secretive. So no, you don't want the others to know because they'll make a big thing of it. So I was trying to do everything during times when no one else would be around. I ended up having to move the cupcake from the fridge to my room so no one would find it. A drip of wax finally hit the delicate swirls of chocolate frosting. Sakusa didn't believe in making wishes. It was stupid to put faith in something that had no guarantee when you could just go out and accomplish it yourself. So he didn't make a wish. Instead, he let the fire warm his chest with the realization that Atsumu had not only did the one thing he's been wanting him to do all day, but he actually put thought and effort into it and not abandoned sleep in favor of doing something so troublesome. Just for him. Sakusa blew out with candle, light smoke curling upward before dissipating into the spring breeze. He took the candle out and handed it over to Atsumu, who took it without complaint. Atsumu was watching him carefully. He looked nervous with the roll of his eyes. Sakusa bit into the cupcake, frosting and cake filling his mouth. The frosting was airy, fluffy, the cake was moist and dense. Sakusa's tongue and cheeks tingled with fiery heat. It was so pleasant, better than anything his mother bought from the store every year. It was so good that he wanted to kiss Atsumu. This is acceptable. Sakusa said instead. Atsumu laughed, full-bodied and happy, his eyes crinkled with smile lines like they did every time. His head tipped back until he lost balance and fell backwards. Thanks, Omi, I appreciate it. The look Atsumu gave him was so soft, so painfully gentle and easy. They stayed on the rooftop for a little while longer. Sakusa finished his birthday dessert while Atsumu talked. He told Sakusa how his training has been going and how he was getting better and better, good enough for him to relentlessly chase his dreams while Sakusa listened, sometimes adding in his own input. When Atsumu's phone said it was midnight and no longer Sakusa's birthday, they decided to get down and go to bed. Atsumu eased Sakusa down onto his balcony and then followed to lower himself safely. Now on Sakusa's balcony, Atsumu gave him another small smile before turning to go back to his room. Despite the small height difference, with Atsumu being shorter than him than 2 inches, Sakusa had never felt smaller. Mia. Atsumu turned and faced him, showing the face that rivaled the brightest stars. Yell. What's up? This was the moment of truth. Sakusa Kiyoomi was not a coward and he would not be mistaken as one. We. Wow, real eloquent there, Kiyoomi. Way to sound like a goddamn invalid. Atsumu just looked confused, head cocked to the side like a fucking puppy. Fuck it. Sakusa Kiyoomi was a man of action, not words, so why force himself to use them? He strode closer to Atsumu, legs devouring the distance between them in 2 short strides. He grabbed Atsumu's shirt collar and yanked him forward. Leaning in, Sakusa caught Atsumu's mouth against his own. A surprised noise left Atsumu's lips and Sakusa was unashamed when he ate up the sound, licking into Atsumu's mouth and letting him taste whatever leftover sweetness were still on his tongue. Lightly chapped lips were soft where they melted against Sakusa's own. Hands clutched the sides of his shirt, twisting the material into his fists. When Sakusa finally let Atsumu go, they were both panting, foreheads knocked gently together, and faces flushed despite the cool night breeze. That's my birthday present. Sakusa said once he caught his breath. He felt dizzy, fuzzy. Was that supposed to be how kissing felt? Atsumu just laughed and pecked his lips once more. Happy birthday, Omi. Guys. Do you know? If this is another one of your trash talks, I'm kicking you off the group chat. Why is this GC even alive? I don't know. College sucks. Okay. Rude. But no. It's not. So are you gonna tell us or not? I don't have the patience for you to constantly send 10 different texts before getting to the damn point. To be honest, lol. Way the fuck. I didn't ask to be tag-teamed, assholes. Lol. Anyways, you were saying? Now I don't even want to tell you anymore. And this is supposed to affect us how? You are a real asshole. I'd say big asshole. But you know. You're tiny. I'm mere inches shorter than you. Wait till I see you again, wannabe tough guy. LMAO, this is priceless. What are you all on about? It's like 3 a.m. Go to bed, especially you, Atsumu. You said you have training camp. Kiddo-san. Good, you're up. I know you'll be happy to hear what I have to share. More like read what you have to share. Because you aren't saying anything. You're typing. And we're reading. Atsumu has removed 𝗀𝗂𝗀𝗀𝗀 from the chat. Great. Now that that's settled. Aaron, guess what? What? Show more enthusiasm, damn. Why do you all feel the need to resent me? Again. It's 3 a.m. I'm too tired to care. Atsumu has removed Aaron from the chat. Hug. So you're just gonna remove everyone from the chat that doesn't want to deal with your bullshit for once? Nice one, Atsumu. Atsumu has removed Sooner and Taro from the chat. Anyone else want to join them? Well, no one else is up. And those that are removed. Jin. I don't need you being a smartass as well. Lol, sorry Captain. Suna just told me he's relieved you removed him. Now he can sleep. 𝗀𝗶𝗊𝗀 has added Sooner and Taro to the chat. Damn it, Jin. I didn't want to be added RN. Or you can just easily remove yourself? Can't ignore Atsumu. He's like a parasite. Nice try. I'm not removing you from the chat. And if you remove yourself, I'll just re-add you. Die. You first. Kita Shinsuke has added a Jiro Aaron and Akaji Machinery to the chat. Kita-san, what the fuck? Why? Woo. Why? They wouldn't stop texting me asking. I can't sleep with all the notifications on, so I had to shut them up one way or another. Atsumu is acting extra ugly today. Are you asking to be removed again? No biggie. I'll just get Kita to add me again. Kita-san, I'll buy you lunch if you don't. Kita-san, I'll blow you. It's way too late to be typing about oral. Oh, you're one to talk. Tone down the PDAGs, guys. There's no PDA, we're just friends. Yellow. You guys are gross. Akaji, what the fuck? You know I can't compete with that. Akaji, that was curse and I don't want to see that ever again or else. I'm sorry, I was wrong. So anyways. The whole reason I even started this chat. Guys, do you know how to bake a cake as secretly as possible? Oh my god. Ajiro Aaron has removed 𝗀𝗊𝗀𝗀 from the chat.